Yo, what is good, people? Welcome back to another episode of the F1 2022 My Team series here on the channel. First of all, before we get into the race today, I want to say a massive thanks to everyone who subscribed to the channel recently. We've had a lot of new subscribers come from the FIFA series, so if you are a viewer of the FIFA series, you've clicked on this video expecting it to be another FIFA video or something. This is not FIFA, of course, this is Formula 1. So if you've never seen this series before, you might want to check out the playlist on the channel, get yourself up to date from Season 1 of this series. You might enjoy it, even if you've never watched Formula 1 before, you might just enjoy my series on it. So check out the playlist and watch the series from the very beginning. We are coming towards the end of Season 2 now, of course, as you can see on the screen. For everyone who has been watching the series so far, we did win the championship in the last episode, but it is still all to play for in the Constructors' Championship. We, of course, won the Individual Drivers' Championship, but we could wrap it up today and win the Constructors' Championship here in Brazil. It is a sprint race, of course, in Brazil. So, quite a long episode, as you can probably see by the length of the video, but a lot happens. So, can we wrap up the Constructors title here today? I can't remember the exact maths, and I forgot to look at the numbers while they were on screen then, but there is definitely a chance for us to win the championship here today. Now, getting into qualifying, in Q1, Senna way down in P12, and we are way down in P15 in Q1. We, of course, just skipped that session there, because normally we get through Q1 easily, but wasn't meant to be. Now, into Q2. Currently sat in P4, a lot better than obviously P15 in the Q1 session. We're just behind the two Red Bulls. Our main rivals are Ferrari and Mercedes. Mercedes creeping up like silently towards the end of this season. We've never mentioned really the Mercedes this season. It's always been Red Bull at the start, and then Ferrari was the main battlers. Obviously Carlos Sainz is who we beat out to the Drivers' Championship. He was our main rival there. And we've not really mentioned Mercedes, but Mercedes right in the mix. Massive snap of oversteer there, which he managed to catch. Always get oversteer coming through that corner, especially when I'm pushing the qualifying session. So easy to lose the back end through this second sector of the Brazilian track. And we did lose a lot of time there, probably about a whole 10 through there. And easy on the throttle coming out to the next exit. We are way down in the delta now. Not looking to improve at the moment on that P4 time that we did set. As we come through the final corner, we got a decent enough exit, gain a bit of time, but then down the straight, just losing time, open DRS, and we are going to go slower than our previous lap by nearly 3/10. So P4 is where we're going to stay for now. There's 1 minute 30 left in the session. Hopefully nobody improves, and they do. Senna goes P2, and we drop out in P12. I actually couldn't believe my eyes. We went from P4 to P12, literally in the matter of like 1 minute and 32 seconds. It was crazy. Let's jump into the sprint race though. We've got it all to do. So in the sprint race, of course, this decides your starting position for the feature race on the next day. On our formation lap here, I got tired of Pierre Gasly brake checking me, so I just completely swerved past him and swerved past Perez. Almost crashed into Perez. Absolutely slam on the brakes, and we managed to get a perfect start and grid spot. Somehow Perez goes through the back of us. Chaotic start. Let's hope the race isn't as chaotic as that is. But here we are. 5 red lights, and we are ready for the sprint race in Brazil. Lights out and away we go. There's only 12 laps in this sprint race. How much can we climb up the pack and get into this race as we head down into turn 1? It's going to be a chaotic start into turn 1. We're up alongside one of the Alpines here. It's Fernando Alonso, I believe, in his contact between us and Alonso through turn 2. As we get through turn 3, Alonso comes across, and there's more contact, and our front wing has took damage. For Fernando Alonso, all of the time you have to leave it a space, and he's not left us any of the space, and we've got front wing damage as Pierre Gasly takes advantage of that, flies through. We have massive understeer into the next corner. There goes the Alpine teammate Yuki Tsunoda. He goes past us. We've dropped back to P12, which is where he started on the grid. Massive understeer again. We are not going to be able to survive 12 laps of this race with that damage to the front wing. Max Verstappen next to us though, he's got front wing end plate damage, as you can see, that front left. And Verstappen, he wants even more damage because he's crashing into us as well. What is going on with these idiots today in Brazil? These gang of absolute morons in F1 cars call themselves drivers. Fernando Alonso, that was ridiculous from the start. Left us absolutely no space whatsoever. Verstappen, the same thing. Here's a replay. We had a nice lunge up the inside. We were alongside Alonso through turn 1, entitled to that space through turn 1. Kissed wheels a bit. Then through turn 2 and turn 3. Look at this. He completely covers us off. Turns into us completely. Leaves us no space. Our front wing end plate goes flying across the track and probably over the fence and into the crowd. So hopefully nobody got stabbed by that. But yeah. So we had a good start, got up into like P10 or even P9 because we would have been ahead of Alonso, and then dropped all the way back down to P12, and we've had to pit. So has Verstappen, so has Stroll. Now, pitting during a sprint race is never a good idea because making those positions back up is going to be pretty much impossible. But we have pretty much the best car on the grid right now. So what can we do? We come out ahead of Verstappen, which is nice to see. 7.5 seconds on the pit stop. Not ideal. And let's see, you can see the cars now on the map in the bottom left. They're just going around the windy section of Sector 2. We are going to come out to the pits. Nicholas Latifi is the guy in last place besides us who have pit. And we come out 20.4 seconds behind Latifi. 20.5 now as he climbs up. And we try and get these tyres into a working window because they are going to be cold coming out of the pits. But we have 10 laps to make up 20 seconds on Latifi. Now, lap 6 here, we have made up, or lap 7, we've made up 5 seconds on Latifi. I don't know if that's good maths to say that we will catch him by the end, but regardless, like, we're fighting for P19 here. We were P12 on the grid, and this was, of course, to set the qualifying, or the grid for the next race, and the championship was on the line. I really needed to get more points than Ferrari. For us to win the championship, as Verstappen goes so slow on the apex there, it nearly causes a crash. We've taken major wear on the engine as well. I don't know if you've seen that there. 70% wear on the gearbox. We've still got a few laps left in this race. And then, of course, 36 laps of the feature race on the Sunday. This weekend is setting up already to be a disaster. But down into turn 1, we take the outside line on Max Verstappen. Down into turn 2, not a great camera angle, but we are past Verstappen on lap 8 there. And we're up into P20. We've made a move up into P20. Verstappen not giving up that easily, though. He's going to fight back. He's going to have DRS down this straight here. And Verstappen is ahead into the braking zone. We saw Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen battle a lot here. I think we touched the back of Verstappen's car there. Because for some reason, he was going so slow down that straight and into that corner. He just kept parking on the apex. But pretty much till the end of the race now, me and Verstappen just went back and forth, DRS on each other, down into turn 1. One of the main overtaking spots in Brazil is down into turn 1, one of the easiest places to do it. But there goes Verstappen, he's defending up the inside. Through turn 2, we get our elbows out, push Verstappen a little bit, and we are back up into P20. Now, that time to Latifi, we have cut nearly 10 seconds already, but there's still only 2 laps left. If this was a longer race, we would have caught Latifi by the end, but there goes Charles Leclerc taking the checkered flag, which is not what we like to see. Ferrari, of course, are rivals in the Constructors' Championship, and one of them has just won the sprint race. So we'll get the full 8 points for that. And then we're about to cross the line in P20. I check the rearview mirror. There goes Verstappen. He just punched us on the way past, and right on the line. I don't even have any words. We went from P12 to P21. Here's a replay of that. Literally, last corner, Verstappen gets a massive speed boost, punches us on the way past, crosses the line, photo finish, and he finishes in P20. We finish in P21. Now, talk about having it all to do. Charles Leclerc wins the race. He gets 8 points. Carlos Sainz gets 5 points. We've got George Russell and Lewis Hamilton in there getting 6 points and 2 points respectively. Let's check out the constructor standings. 34 points, the gap from us to Ferrari. And from us to Mercedes is 37 points. Ayrton Senna started P3 in the sprint race there and finished P10. Don't know what he was doing. We need a miracle
Formula
in this
One
race.
Returns to Interlagos once again with the stage set for what promises to be another classic Sao Paulo Grand Prix. Sebastian Vettel famously clinched his 3rd championship here in 2012, and just 4 years later, Max Verstappen treated us to one of the finest wet weather drives of all time. It's an unusual anti-clockwise race here in Interlagos, where the Sao Paulo locals are packed into the grandstands at each of the 15 corners around this classic 2.7-mile circuit. 2 very fast sections bookend the famous and highly technical Sector 2, where getting a good run out of Junsao into one of the 2 DRS zones will be key to any overtaking prospects today. So with the race not far away from starting, here's what today's grid rundown looks like. A fantastic effort from Charles Leclerc yesterday, and it's put him on pole, edging out Lando Norris, who'll start from P2. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Russell, Perez, and Sir Lewis Hamilton, and Gasly, Fernando Alonso, Tsunoda, Mick Schumacher, and Kevin Magnussen, Ocon, Vettel, Daniel Ticktum, and Latifi, Verstappen, Senna, the owner driver, and Lance Stroll. Joe, they've taken a grid penalty. Schwartzman, Albon, and Carlos Sainz will start from the back of the grid. With preparations almost complete, let's head down to the track. Anthony Davidson joins me once again in the commentary box, and it's fantastic to have you with us here, but I'm curious, as a man with experience out on the track, how do you stop those pre-race nerves from becoming overwhelming when you're lining up on the grid?
Well, I imagine they'll be starting to feel the adrenaline as they anticipate the rundown into turn one, a bit like preparing to go into battle. The unknown situation will bring nerves, but that's a good thing. It'll keep them focused on the moment and on their surroundings as we build towards the start of the Grand Prix.
So there we have it. Charles Leclerc, after winning that sprint race, starts on pole position. If you can turn that into a race win, you might be able to keep Ferrari's constructors' hopes alive. I think we need to score 10 points to be able to win the championship here. Lights out and away we go. We start from P17 alongside our teammate Senna on the grid in P16. A slow start for us on the hard compound, the tyre running, an alternate strategy, but we send it deep up the inside into turn one. There was contact from behind. Lance Stroll that was sending it up the inside into turn one, and he's crashed into the back of us. Lucky we didn't take any damage there, but Lance Stroll certainly did. As you will see, Lance Stroll is out of the session. Virtual safety car is deployed on lap 1 here, and it's an absolutely chaotic start. Here's what happened to Stroll. He goes off the track and comes back onto the track and gets absolutely wiped out by somebody right at the back. As if it wasn't bad enough of a start for Stroll, he comes onto the track, and it's Carlos Sainz who is starting from P22. He's already up into P21. Carlos Sainz starting way from the back, and that's what we like to see. Of course, Ferrari, our main rivals for the Constructors' Championship. If Sainz scores no points, then that is absolutely massive to see, because like I say, we need to score 10 points. No, I think Leclerc needs to score 10 points more than us to keep them in the championship. And if he doesn't score more than 10 points than us, I'm really butchering this. I'm confusing myself right now. So, if Leclerc scores more than 10 points than Sasuke Racing as a team, then they will still be alive in the championship, and the championship will be decided in the last race, if that makes sense. I hope you follow. But here comes Ayrton Senna battling us for our life, as if we're not meant to be teammates fighting for the Constructors' Championship. He's trying to take us out. We're down in P15 and 16, Senna, mate. We need to get into the points and get 10 points between us to get, to win the championship in this race. I wish there was more control over the AI in this game, team orders, things like that. Even just being able to say to your teammate, don't fight each other. Let's work together to go and win the championship. We need 10 points between us to win the Constructors' Championship. Do you know what I mean, mate? That will be so much money for Season 3. And yeah, but obviously you can't speak to your teammates, unfortunately. So we're stuck behind our teammate for the end of lap 2. DRS should be enabled this lap. Charles Leclerc setting the fastest lap of the race. He's running away with the lead at the minute. And as we head down into turn 1, there goes DRS enabled. We have a little look up the inside of Senna. Not able to make that move. Round the outside we go. Is there any space for there? No, there isn't. Remember though, we are on a different strategy. I thought I'd start on the hard tyres and go into the mediums later on, just in case anything late happened towards the middle section, towards the end section of the race before we pit. We might get a free pit stop under a safety car, something like that. That's what I thought. If we go for a long first stint on the hard tyres, it might benefit us later on in the race, and we'll see if that strategy is a good call or not, as we are getting held up by our teammate right now. We are so much faster than Senna. He can't get himself past Latifi and ticked him. We go around the outside of Senna there, almost into the back of him, have to go off the track to try and avoid the collision, and Senna's still fighting us around the outside. Senna, I know you're a racing driver and whatever, and if you don't see a gap and you go for it, you're not a racing driver, whatever the quote was, but mate, chill out. We're on the same team trying to win the championship here. We've got past them. Now Latifi and ticked him, they absolutely stink. These two are so slow. You can see under braking we're so much faster than Latifi and ticked him. We're going to apply our ERS, burn some of that battery charge, and we're going to overtake Latifi before we even get to the DRS line. Easy does it. Now we have that rear wing open, still using that battery charge as well. Push and ticked him to the inside, so we have an easy run down the outside into turn 1. We've just had the purple sector 3 as well on hard tyres. Purple sectors, of course, meaning the fastest of anyone in the race so far. Get our elbows out. Elbow Dan Ticktum, our ex-teammate, in the face. In a bit, Dan, lad. We are past you and your massive cube head. Somehow managed to get past this massive cube head. But he's not giving up, Dan Ticktum. He's looking to fight back up the inside into this next corner. We give him the space, run wide a bit, because we gave him that space up the inside, but we managed to stay ahead of the Haas there. We're up into P13.
Okay, we're looking at some gearbox wear, so try to keep the number of shifts to a minimum, please.
We need to finish at least P5 or 6, I think, to win the Constructors' Championship here. And if Senna could get in the points as well, then it will be even less than that. But we've just been told about gearbox wear. I told you in the sprint race, we had 70% wear on the gearbox. Not what we'd like to see. Not good. I don't know why after that stinker in quali and the sprint, I don't know why I didn't just take a grid penalty and get a whole complete new engine in here. But we open DRS, we get past Sebastian Vettel. I think the reason I didn't take the engine is because I thought if we put new components in, there's the risk of them blowing up and we retire from the race. Down into turn 1, outbraking ourselves massively, and we get our elbows out here. Magnussen yielding completely through turn 2. Lucky to avoid a collision there. If Magnussen kept on pushing, we probably would have took some damage to the front wing, but a nice double overtake on Vettel and Magnussen down to turn 1, even though we have to give Magnussen credit for letting us past him basically. But we are pushing as hard as we can on these hard tyres, and here we go. Mick Schumacher, the next car in front, into the point. If we can get past this guy, he's holding us up massively. So slow. Our car is just absolutely massive and compared to these cars in terms of performance. A nice send up the inside. You don't really see many overtakes there, do you, Lewis Hamilton and Alex Albon? Don't see many overtakes up that corner there, and we send it up the inside of Schumacher up into the top 10. We go on a complete rampage now, really, these next few laps. Obviously this middle stint of the race, we're on lap 13 of 36, 1/3 into the race. Is that right? That is not correct, Matt. Max Verstappen out of the session though, so that's what we like to see, even though Verstappen wasn't really in this race to begin with. But that's some information for you. Gasly, Alonso into the pits, Russell, Norris and Perez also into the pits, and Leclerc into the pits. So this is a massive moment. We are overtaking the first batch of medium run pitters. So Leclerc, this is the main man that we are fighting this race. Of course we need to score 10 more points on him. He is absolutely flying compared to the rest of the pack. If you check the minimap now, he is 2.4 seconds behind us, and the next car behind him is Perez, who's just coming out of the pits. Leclerc has like a 10-second gap to the cars behind in the race, like not even like the people who have pit. Like, this is crazy. So the gap to Leclerc is 2.6 seconds, and we cross the line here. He's closer to 1.9. Leclerc absolutely flying. This is our in lap, but check this out. 76% wear on the gearbox, and the rest of our engine is just absolutely battered. Let's have a look at it again. The tyres aren't doing too bad, but we're seeing 59%, 62%, 65% all over. That engine's showing a red symbol there, as you can see in the bottom right. 63% on the ICE, which means we're losing power on the straights, and we're losing power in general. It's not good. The engine is on its last legs, the gearbox is on its last legs, but all we need to do is get it across the line. There is still 15 laps left in this race here. As we come into the pits, Leclerc goes past Perez down in P3. Like I say, he's 14 seconds behind. Leclerc is 8 seconds ahead. Like, this is an absolutely crazy gap to Leclerc. We are going to come out to the pits. Where do we come out? Have we put in a good enough gap on those hard tyres? We start at P16 on the grid. Let's find out where we come out. We are going to come out in P10 ahead of Mick Schumacher by a good 10 seconds. So we have really put in that work. We are into the points, but as it stands, Leclerc is on for 26 points. We're on for 1. So obviously, that's a lot more points than 10. So Leclerc will keep Ferrari in the Constructors' Championship if we cannot make an impact and start cutting through the field. But we are on fresh medium tyres. Softer compound than those hard tyres that the cars in front have been on for like 5 laps now, I want to say. 5 or 10 laps maybe. Definitely not 10. There's probably about 5 or 6 laps these guys have been on those hard tyres for. So can we make an impact? We are in sort of a DRS train. There's like 4 cars in front. It's Ocon, from Alonso, from I don't even know who they are in front, but even as we get round the last corner, there's Gasly in P7, and there's like 2 more cars in front. It's a massive DRS train here. Even if you check the minimap now, Perez it's just a big train, but we've got the DRS open. Can we pass Ocon down to turn 1? We've hardly got any battery charge. We need to try and save up some of that for the attacks that we're about to go on. Ocon up the inside trying to defend, and we come through turn 2 against Ocon with our elbows out. Hopefully we don't see a repeat of what Ocon did to Max Verstappen through turn 2, and we don't. We get past Esteban Ocon using that battery to defend against any attack that he can, but we've got no charge left, 7% left in the battery as we try and chase down Fernando Alonso, who we of course have beef with because he took us out in the sprint race. Saw no penalty for that, by the way, which I think is a joke. I think like they really need to fix the penalty system. Big snap of oversteer because we are pushing these tyres so hard, but it actually got us closer to Alonso, so we love to see it. And that Alpine stinks. The AlphaTauri in front stinks. Another snap of oversteer. Can we send it up the inside like we did to Schumacher? No, we can't. Too far back to make that move. That would have been just more contact than a bad racing move. Sticking behind Alonso and know that the DRS is coming up. We're just going to save our battery charge up. We've managed to harvest 40% battery, and as we apply it now, before we even hit the DRS point, we are going to overtake Alonso, hopefully. or we'll get alongside him, and there we go. We open the rear wing and we fly past the Alpine of Alonso. He's still fighting, good straight line speed in the Alpine there, but down into braking zone for turn 1. He's going to go up the inside, but he's no match, and the inside was covered anyway by Pierre Gasly. So we are up into P8. P8, of course, being 3 points, is it? P10 is 1, P10 is 1 point, P9 is 2 points, P8 3 or 4. I think it's 4 points actually. So we're slowly cutting the gap to Leclerc, but it's still not good enough. It's still not good enough if we want to win the Constructors' Championship in this race. We still need to make some more moves, but Pierre Gasly is the next man that's in front of us. I haven't heard this man much in real life this season. AlphaTauri have stunk. Pierre Gasly last season was putting in like P5 performances in qualifying every week, and it was crazy. But Pierre, we've not heard much. The only thing we have heard is that he's joining Alpine next season. He will be leaving AlphaTauri and going to Alpine alongside Esteban Ocon, which is just crazy. It's been a crazy season of driver transfers, and we almost go into the back of the new Alpine driver because he's so slow in the braking. But we managed to send up the inside. Pierre turning into us there. Leave us some space, please, Pierre, mate. I do like you, but I don't like you enough to hug and kiss you in our cars, mate. But we're up the inside this time. We've been up the outside for every time into turn 1. Can we defend up the inside? Yes, we can. We are ahead of Pierre Gasly. We're up into P7. Next car in front, speaking of Alpine, it's another Alpine. It's Yuki Tsunoda. Now this guy, of course, is slow again because we've just took his teammate Alonso. We know that the Alpine is not a very fast car, and we look to send up the inside there, but Tsunoda defending for his life. Crikey, sound like George Russell. Snap of oversteer for Tsunoda on the exit. He's obviously pushing really hard to defend there, and we are going to shoot up the inside before we even get the DRS point again. Overtaking Tsunoda, and we're up into P6. Now, I can't remember the maths, like I say, but we've still got Mercedes in there. They're in P3 and 5, so they're going to take a good point haul from this race. Leclerc obviously in P1 by a mile. I actually don't know how Leclerc is so far ahead. It's crazy. He's about to lap the back markers, I think. Or is that Carlos Sainz? I don't even know. But we are catching George Russell. Can we take George Russell? Couldn't we? At this pace, we've still got 10 laps left in the race. If we can keep this pace up, we are on for a podium. We could even try and catch Leclerc for the race win, and then we'll win the championship. But Russell defending the inside. We're a bit far back this time. We go deep on the brakes into turn 1. Are we going to have a good line for turn 2? It's wheel to wheel with George Russell, and we are ahead of George Russell. We are an absolute overtaking machine this race. When I said before we're going to go on a tear, that's exactly what I mean. Like, we are absolutely flying in this race. I was just in the zone while I was recording this. And by the way, I recorded the last 4 races of this series back to back. 4 races in a row. Do you know what that does to a man? Do you know what that does to a man and his physical and mental well-being? Recording 4 F1 races in a row on a wheel and pedal setup. It was crazy. And I was fuming coming into this race, and then the sprint race happened, and I was fuming. And I just want to win the Constructors' Championship. But late on the brakes, almost contact with the back of Lewis Hamilton there. We've made it past Lando Norris, and we're up into P4. I can't remember how many points P4 gets, so I can't remember if this is good enough to win the championship. But who cares about winning the championship from P4? Let's try and win it from P1. Late on the brakes, Lewis Hamilton almost causing a collision again. Sergio Perez is really holding up this pack. Perez not showing much pace here in Brazil, and that's probably why Leclerc is flying ahead. Lewis Hamilton, we get a warning for exceeding track limits there. Hamilton completely pushes off the track. There was nothing else we could have done. We have to do that to avoid a collision, but we're up the inside, unfamiliar territory through turn 1 and 2. Easy pass on Lewis Hamilton, and we're right on the gearbox of Sergio Perez. Nobody's been able to get past Perez, but can we be the man who takes Sergio Perez? Let's see, we've got DRS down this straight now. Hamilton looking to attack still. And we go late on the brakes again, almost into the back of Sergio Perez, just showing how slow this guy is. We have to do a Max Verstappen go completely off the track there, and we get an illegal overtake on Hamilton because we went off the track like that. I don't know how that's an illegal overtake because we were already ahead of Hamilton, but I understand yielding the position because the advantage that we gained by going off the track there, but we have to go off the track, otherwise we would have took ourselves out and Sergio Perez out. So we're back down to P4. Can we stick behind Hamilton and Perez? Are these tyres going to last? We've set a green. I don't know why I couldn't speak then. We've set a green sector 1. Still showing that we've got life in these tyres. Still 7 laps left in this race. Can we take Hamilton and Perez, get ourselves onto the podium spot? Let's find out. Leclerc is already through sector 1. He's down the back straight. If you check the minimap, the guy's insane. But here we go. We take Lewis Hamilton early in the straight, and we are catching Perez down into turn 1. Can we take Perez as well? Are we going to be close enough for that? Round the outside of Sergio Perez. down the hill into turn 2. Perez stays ahead. We are right on his gearbox, though. We get a nice exit down the hill into the next DRS zone. Don't have much battery. We're going to expend it all, though, to try and overtake Perez because he's holding us up so much. Make him defend the inside, so compromise his line. As we go round the outside, Sergio Perez up the inside. We managed to take that position from Perez, and we are up into P2. But Charles Leclerc is 18.7 seconds ahead. He's nearly a whole pit stop ahead. That guy has been on an absolute tear in this race. I can't believe the pace that Leclerc is showing, especially because he's not done that well this season in the Drivers' Championship in all career mode. He hasn't done that well in real life either, let's be honest. He's just a bit of a bottle job. But anyway, regardless of what happens in real life this season, we are focused on our career mode. We are 1 second ahead of Sergio Perez into the DRS zone, which hopefully means we won't have any threat from Perez for the rest of the race, which is what we love to see. And as it stands, checking the gearbox there as well, 79% wear. All the engines, 65%, 66, 63, 60. The engine is on its last legs, the gearbox on its last legs. We got told on lap 4, keep the gear shifts to a minimum. That's what I've been trying. But is it going to be good enough to get us to the end of the race? We start lap 33 of 36. It is nearly the end of the race. We've got 3 laps left after this one, approaching some back markers here. Hopefully we can get past them without any issues.
Okay, stand by. We see a problem our end and we're looking into it.
That is not the message we want to hear right now. There's 3 laps left in this race. The gearbox is now at 80% wear. We're probably going to start losing gears in a moment. That's what happens when your gearbox gets too much wear on it. You actually lose a gear, so you can't go up or down into a certain gear. But we've only got 3 laps left. I'm just hoping we hold on in one piece until the end of the race, until we see that checkered flag and we actually win the Constructors' Championship. At the moment, as it stands, we will win that.
Okay, we have a severe engine issue. Find a safe space to retire or return to the pits. Okay, this is serious. We need you to retire as soon as possible.
But that dream has gone up in flames. The dream has gone up in flames. You hate to see it. It's a retirement from the race. Now, when I said before I was recorded 4 races back to back, I was fuming. The sprint race had me fuming. Can you imagine how much my head was gone? 33 laps into a race when we have to retire for an engine failure. When we were about to win the Constructors' Championship, which means I could have simmed the last race and not had to do 4 races back to back. It could have been 3. Boys, I was absolutely livid. Yeah, Charles Leclerc wins the race, 26 points for him. He keeps Ferrari in the race for the Constructors' Championship. One of the Mercedes there finishing in P2 as well. So let's have to look at Mercedes. Mercedes must have got some good points from this race. There's Lewis Hamilton in P2, Lando Norris in P3. Don't know what happened to Sergio Perez. He's obviously bottled that in the last few laps of that race there. But yeah, man, I was just fuming, bro. I was fuming. I didn't even want to watch these podium celebrations. I don't even know if we skip it. Do we watch it? Do we skip it? I think I might just went downstairs and headbutted the wall or something after what happened there. But literally, I was just excited to just end the season with double championship wins. But it comes down to the last race now. So we'll have to wait and see what happens there. Ayrton Senna finishing P11 on the weekend with 1 point. He obviously finished P10 in the final race. I just can't believe what happened to us. Check out the Constructors' standings. Ferrari and Mercedes tied on points in P2. There's 10 points between us. 10 points. So getting into the last race of the season, it's a 3-way battle for the championship. It's into the last race. It's crazy. We could have had it wrapped up today, but it wasn't meant to be. Leclerc picking up 33 points on the weekend, really pulling it out the bag for Ferrari there, keeping their championship hopes alive. I just couldn't believe it, man. I could not believe it. Let's return to HQ, and as we do, we've had a failure in the engine again, but this time it was on an engine upgrade. Our fuel upgrade failed. We're going to redo it. We won't even get it until after Abu Dhabi, the last race, so a pretty much pointless upgrade comes through for the next season. Same with that MGUH upgrade there. Engine absolutely battered, and you know what that means? Grid penalty for Abu Dhabi. Are we going to be able to win this championship, boys? Find out next Sunday. We're going to have to take an engine penalty for the final race of the season when we need, I don't even know how many points. I can't do the maths. Someone do the maths and let me know in the comments. We are 10 points ahead of the 2 teams behind. How many points do we need to score in this last race to win the championship? I do not know. Will we win it? Find out next time. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. You know the vibes. I'll catch you next time. Take it easy.